Summer of 1965, a Pan Am 707 climbing out of Idlewild at dusk. A 23-year-old stewardess in sky blue and white gloves carries champagne coupes toward the cockpit. The door is wide open. The captain, silver at the temples, looks over his shoulder. Half a second of eye contact across the instrument glow. That is how it started. Not with an app, not with a text, with an open door and crystal at 30,000 feet. That door is sealed shut now. And so is everything it made possible. 15 vanished ways that stewardesses and pilots fell in love in the sky. Everyone is gone. Not because love changed, because the architecture changed. Number 15. The unlatched cockpit door. Before the mid-1960s and the early 1970s, the cockpit door on commercial aircraft in America was frequently left unlocked or open during cruise, allowing easy interaction. Stewardesses walked in and out freely. The narrow galley on a Boeing 727 sat 5 feet from the flight deck. The smell of percolating coffee and perfume in a pressurized aluminum tube. A stewardess carrying a china cup and saucer through that doorway. No security code, no reinforced barrier, no knock required. The captain half turning in his seat, the co-pilot offering her the jump seat for a minute. During cruise, the low hum of the engines. Conversation somewhere over Kansas in the dark. That open door was not a security flaw. It was the architecture of familiarity. You cannot fall for someone you never see. The locked cockpit door did not just protect the flight deck. It ended the last workplace in America where two people could meet at altitude with nothing between them but a cup of coffee and clear air. The door let them meet, but the schedule is what kept them together. Number 14. The crew scheduling system. Airlines scheduled crews in monthly bid lines. A pilot and stewardess who flew well together could end up paired on the same route, week after week, for months. The crew scheduling board at the base was a printed sheet pinned to a bulletin board near the lounge. Typed names, flight numbers, city pairs. A stewardess checking whether she drew the same captain on the New York to San Juan run again. 3-day pairings. Same crew van to the airport. Same briefing room. Same galley. You did not choose to spend 80 hours a month with someone. The airline chose for you. And sometimes the airline got it right. Modern dating is a process of elimination. You swipe, you filter, you curate. In the 1960s sky, the airline made the introduction. Proximity did the rest. Nobody called it romance. They called it a good trip. Number 13. The layover hotel bar. Airlines contracted with specific hotels in every destination city. The entire crew stayed under the same roof, often for 2 or 3 nights. Pan Am crews on layover in Buenos Aires, Rio, and Caracas were put up in the finest hotels in the city. An envelope of cash from the airline waited at the front desk for each crew member. On the Hong Kong route, there were only 2 flights a week, so crews had days to explore and go out together. The hotel bar downstairs. Last call. A captain buying the table a round of gin and tonics. The piano player knowing the TWA crews by name. The layover was not a break from work. It was the second act, the one where the uniform came off and the person underneath showed up. You learned who someone was at a hotel bar in Lisbon at midnight, not in a briefing room at 6 in the morning. The hotel bar was where they talked. But they had already been watching each other all day in something no one alive today would recognize. Number 12. The uniform as theater. Stewardess uniforms in the 1960s were designed not for function, but for spectacle. Fashion designer Emilio Pucci created outfits for Breniff International starting in 1965, part of a total brand overhaul that repainted every plane in the fleet orange, turquoise, baby blue, ochre, lemon yellow, and lavender. One of his collections was a wardrobe system the press dubbed the airstrip because it involved the stewardess removing layers as the flight progressed. Clear plastic bubble helmets were introduced to protect beehive hairstyles between the terminal and the aircraft. Stewardesses walked through airport corridors in crisp uniforms, white gloves, hats, hair not touching the collar. A pilot watched a woman walk down his aisle in Pucci prints 6 days a week. She was not trying to impress him. She was doing her job. And that was the most attractive thing about it. Number 11. The Stewardess Apartment. Stewardesses based in the same city lived together in shared apartments near the airport, 2 or 3 women in a 1-bedroom apartment rotating through on staggered schedules. Pan Am stewardess Joanne Flynn lived in a 1-bedroom in Miami with 2 other stewardesses. 2 beds in the bedroom and a pull-out sofa in the living room. The apartment complex had a swimming pool. Almost everyone who lived there was a stewardess. It worked because they were hardly ever home at the same time. A message pad by the rotary phone. A captain's name scrawled in ballpoint. Stockings drying over the shower rod. A timetable taped to the refrigerator so your roommates knew when you were coming home. Those apartments were not glamorous. They were functional, tight, and loud. But they were the first place many of these women ever lived without their parents. And the phone on the kitchen wall was the only line a pilot had if he wanted to call after the flight was over. She lived with her crew. But the pilot lived in a world most people never saw, and it came with its own invisible code. Number 10. The Captain's Authority. In the 1960s, the airline captain was not just a pilot. He was the legal commander of the aircraft, a quasi-military figure, often a World War II or Korean War veteran, the highest-paid professional most stewardesses had ever met. 4 gold stripes on the sleeve, a leather flight bag with his name embossed on the brass plate. Starting salary for a Pan Am captain in 1966 ran around $25,000 a year. That is roughly $230,000 in today's money. He walked through the terminal and people stepped aside. The uniform alone stopped traffic. The captain did not perform authority. He wore it, and a stewardess who had been trained in poise, composure, and self-control recognized the same qualities across that cockpit door. These were 2 people fluent in the same discipline. That is not infatuation. That is recognition. Number 9. The galley conversations at 2 in the morning over the Atlantic. On long international flights, after meal service ended and passengers slept, the galley became a private room in the sky. The narrow galley of a 707, brushed aluminum counters, a curtain half drawn. 2 in the morning somewhere over the North Atlantic, the cabin dark except for a few reading lights. A stewardess sitting on the jump seat with her shoes off and a cup of reheated coffee. The first officer leaning against the bulkhead. The hum of 4 Pratt & Whitney turbofans. A conversation about nothing. Hometowns, favorite hotels, what they were going to do on the layover in Paris. There is no place on Earth more intimate than a lit galley on a dark transatlantic crossing. The passengers are asleep. The world below is black ocean. And 2 people who will not see each other for 3 weeks are talking as if time does not apply at altitude. It does not. 7 features gone. And here is what connects every one of them. Not a single one required permission. No one applied for the right to leave the cockpit door open. No one asked corporate whether the crew could eat together at the hotel. No one scheduled a meeting about proximity. The system produced it. The airline manufactured the conditions for human connection the same way it manufactured the conditions for flight. Thrust, lift, drag, proximity. Remove any one of those and the machine does not fly. Number 8. The pre-flight briefing. Before every flight, the entire crew gathered in the same room. Captain, first officer, flight engineer, and every stewardess on the route. Weather, routing. Passenger count, service plan, emergency procedures. 10 minutes, face-to-face. A briefing room at Idlewild or O'Hare. Fluorescent lights, a chalkboard with the route drawn in white. The captain standing at the front, speaking to 5 or 6 stewardesses seated in metal folding chairs. Eye contact when he said her name to assign her position. A nod. The click of a ballpoint pen against a clipboard. Everyone leaving the room together and walking to the airplane in a line. Today, pilots and flight attendants meet on the jet bridge 5 minutes before boarding. They exchange first names they will forget by baggage claim. The briefing room was where crews became crews, where a glance across a metal folding chair could last 3,000 miles. Number 7. The crew van ride. A single van transported the entire crew from the hotel to the airport and back. No separate cars, no rideshare app. One vehicle, one crew, one ride. A blue Ford Econoline with the airline logo on the door. 6 in the morning. A captain in the front passenger seat, sunglasses on, coffee in a paper cup. 4 stewardesses in the back, overnight bags on their laps. Somebody's perfume mixing with cigarette smoke and tarmac air. The radio tuned to the local AM station. 15 minutes from the hotel to the terminal. Nobody talking much. The intimacy of shared silence before a 12-hour day. The crew van was the only vehicle in America where a man and a woman sat side by side at dawn, said almost nothing, and understood each other completely. They were about to do the same job in the same sky for the same 12 hours. And that was enough. They rode together, they briefed together, they flew together. But the thing that sealed it, the thing that turned proximity into something more, was a rule so strange it almost sounds made up. Number 6. The no marriage rule. For much of the mid-20th century, airlines required female cabin crew to be single when hired and to resign the moment they married. Pan American World Airways accepted only a small fraction, frequently less than 3 to 5% of its thousands of applicants. Stewardesses had to be college-educated, speak a second language, meet strict height and weight standards, and weigh no more than 130 pounds. They could not be married or have children. The mandatory retirement age was 32. In 1965, a stewardess named Betty Green Bateman won a landmark grievance against Braniff Airways that helped make the industry's no marriage policy illegal. Before that ruling, the ring came off before you walked through the terminal. The marriage was secret. The husband waited at home. The no marriage rule turned every romance between a pilot and a stewardess into a decision with a fuse on it. She could keep the wings or keep the man, not both. And that deadline made every layover conversation, every galley midnight, every crew van sunrise feel like borrowed time. Love on a deadline is not casual. It is the most serious thing in the world. Number 5. The secret marriage. Thousands of stewardesses married in secret throughout the 1950s and 60s. They hid wedding rings in their purses and kept flying under their maiden names. People talked openly about this one or that one having a secret marriage, sensing the rules were going to change. At American Airlines, numerous stewardesses revealed their marriages, believing the company would not actually fire them. They were wrong. A wedding band on a chain around the neck, tucked under the uniform blouse. A second set of tax returns. A husband who answered the phone at the crash pad and told callers he was her brother. They did not hide their marriages because they were ashamed. They hid them because they loved flying and they loved each other, and the airline said they could only have one. The women who hid those rings were not dishonest. They were defiant. 10 items down, and now you can see the shape of it. Every vanished feature was a point of contact. An open door, a shared ride, a joint briefing, a hotel bar in a foreign city, a schedule that paired you together until the pairing became the point. The modern airline separated every one of those contact points by regulation, by security, by efficiency, and then wondered why nobody talked to each other anymore. These people did not fall in love because they were romantic. They fell in love because the architecture of the job put them in the same room. And being in the same room consistently with someone who shares the same risk, the same altitude, and the same sunrise over the Atlantic. That is the oldest formula in the world. Number 4, the jump seat invitation. A captain could invite a stewardess to sit in the cockpit jump seat during cruise, a fold-down seat directly behind the pilots between the flight deck and the cabin. It was informal, common, and completely legal. Pan Am stewardesses occasionally spent their spare time in the cockpit visiting with the crew. The seat was cold metal with a thin cushion. From it you saw everything the pilot saw. The horizon line, the instrument panel, the stars above 35,000 feet. The captain pointed out landmarks below. The first officer adjusted the heading. Nobody said anything about it being special. It was just the jump seat. But you were sitting behind the man flying the airplane, watching his hands on the yoke, and the whole world was below you. No dating profile could replicate what happened in that seat. You did not learn about a man's ambitions or his income. You watched him work. You saw what calm under pressure actually looked like. The jump seat was not a privilege. It was a window into competence. And competence at altitude is the most attractive thing a person can wear. Number 3. Ilona first walked into a Pan Am office in Bermuda in 1968 asking about volunteer work. She ended up getting hired as a stewardess. She was not looking for a husband. She later said that a lot of stewardesses dated wealthy men who thought they were doing her a favor by taking her out, and that did not sit well with her. She wanted someone she could actually have a conversation with. On a Pan Am flight, she met a pilot named Ian Duncan. He was different from the captains she had been warned about. Quiet, direct. Ian's pilot buddies placed bets on how long the marriage would last. The consensus was 3 years. Both had strong personalities. Neither was expected to settle down. A lot of people lost their bets. They stayed married over 50 years. She went on to write several books, including a biography of Ian. The other pilots gave them 3 years. They got 50. Not because they were perfect, because they learned who each other was at altitude, where you cannot fake composure and cannot hide who you are when the turbulence hits. The airplane tested them before the marriage ever could. Number 2. Joanne Flynn flew for Pan Am starting in the mid-1960s. She was one of the select few accepted from thousands of applicants that year. She flew to South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. On layovers, the crew went sightseeing, ate at extraordinary restaurants, and explored entire cities together. An envelope of cash from the airline waited at every hotel. She once said she kept thinking to herself, "They are paying me for this." She gave it all up after 3 years, not because she was tired of flying. She loved flying, but the rule was that she had to quit if she decided to be married. And then she met someone, and the rule said she had to choose. Joanne Flynn did not leave Pan Am because she wanted to stop. She left because the airline made love and the sky mutually exclusive. She chose the man, but she never stopped looking up. And decades later, she still watched a television show about Pan Am stewardesses with the volume turned up and a look on her face that said everything words could not. Some doors close behind you, and you spend the rest of your life hearing them shut. Number 1. There are no headlines for this one, no memoirs, no television adaptations. But across every major American airline from roughly 1945 to 1975, thousands of pilots married stewardesses. It was the single most common romantic pairing in the industry. Most of these couples are gone now. Their stories exist only in the memory of their children and grandchildren. People alive today who grew up hearing how Mom met Dad on a DC-6 over the Pacific. He was 38, ex-Army Air Corps, silver at the temples, steady hands. She was 24, a farm girl from Missouri who passed the TWA interview out of 2,000 applicants. Trained at the Breach Academy in Kansas City. Walked onto her first Constellation with white gloves and a pounding heart. They flew the same route for 3 months. He asked her to dinner on a layover in San Francisco. She said yes before he finished the sentence. Married 6 months later at a courthouse near LaGuardia, she turned in her wings the next Monday. He flew for 30 more years. She raised 4 children and never once complained about the choice. But every time a plane went over the house, she looked up. Every single time, for the rest of her life. Not because she regretted anything, but because part of her was still up there. In the galley at 2 in the morning, in the crew van at dawn, in the jump seat behind the man she married. That sky took her uniform. It never took the feeling. The modern airline is faster, safer, and more efficient than anything the 1960s could have imagined. The cockpit door is reinforced steel. The crew meets on the jet bridge and forgets each other by baggage claim. The galley is a workspace. The layover is 8 hours in an airport hotel with blackout curtains. Nobody is falling in love at 30,000 feet anymore. Not because people changed, because the architecture did. The sky used to be a place where 2 people could find each other in a pressurized aluminum tube between New York and Paris, with nothing but coffee, turbulence, and time. That sky is sealed shut now. And so is the door. And if you want more forgotten wisdom from the generations who came before us, the next video is waiting for you right now.